With us, we have a very famous writer, Dalit writer in Tamil. Actually, hers is one of the earliest novels, Dalit novels, Sivakami. And I would like to evoke what T.S. Eliot described as the true role of writers, which is to write not only with the heart and mind, but with the whole body and bodily organs. Sivakami, can you talk about how you see, because this session is about the graph of Dalit writing, how you see the evolution of Dalit writing, the politics and the art of it, and perhaps linking it to your own growth and the turns your writing has taken and your preferences, your choices. Over to you.
Thank you, Mini, for the introduction. I have written so far 6 novels, 100 over short stories, few essay collections, and 2 collection of poems. And your question straight away demands an analysis of Dalit writing as a whole and also particularly my writing. To start with, The Grip of Change is my very first novel, published by Orient Longman, then, and they are now known as Orient Black Swan. And this novel, the protagonist is a 17-year-old Dalit female. And it takes me 50 years back to a secluded Dalit village. And from this thrown away village, the girls tries to look at the society and also the people who are not only the poorest of the poor, but also discarded, disowned, the so-called untouchables. And also she tries to find solutions or to redeem the society. Whether she has succeeded or not, we will see at the last. The next novel, in Tamil it is called Anandai. In English it's translated by Penguin and published by them. It's called The Taming of Women. This portrays 3 generations of subaltern women and also tries to find the differences between these 3 generations and try to no, that was Grip of Change. Grip of Change was the first novel, Dalit first novel in Tamil. But Anandai is the second novel. It talks about women as a whole, subaltern women. Not only the differences it tries to locate, but also the minute and subtle changes between these generations in facing the Tamil patriarchy. And the third one, the important one, is it's called the cross-section English, Kurukkuvettu in Tamil. It was translated and published by Sahitya Academy as one of the 100 best novels from India. And by then the author has graduated from rural to urban complexities. So she tries to deconstruct the institutions of family, marriage, and the concepts of love and chastity. And the latest novel is about Indian bureaucracy and how discrimination is followed in the framing of government policies, programs, and how the bureaucrats are caste-oriented and exposes the link between caste and the state. It's yet to be translated, and sorry, it is translated but yet to be published. We are looking for a good publisher in English. And in all these novels, the planes may be from different planes I had written. It's a rural setting and urban and also government based and all. But it's all, I think, revolving around the underprivileged people and the people who are victims of caste. Now, some of the writers, I think Mini also has circulated a paper to me written by one of the important writers in Tamil. And he is lamenting over how the Dalit literature has been neglected by the mainstream and it has not had any impact on others. And the translation is not very well received. And for some time, yes, from 80s to 2000, it was very well received, and after that there is a deterioration. That's what he has recorded in his write-up. But I am of the opinion that I remember one Professor Ved Sahai Kumar, who's a profound scholar, when he introduced me to a bunch of writers from coastal area in a workshop, said, here is Sivakami, who started writing in the 80s. Now we are in 2000. So the Dalits are able to bargain political power in Tamil Nadu. So I think 100 over Dalit writers have achieved this. And this is quite a phenomenal change, I consider. Apart from the social indicators of literacy and employment rates among Dalits, there is an improvement. What the writer wants is the change in the attitude of others. I like to say that, so he says the others are no longer feeling guilty about leading a caste life, and they don't repent it, and they don't want to change it. That's what he's recorded. But I am of the view that it's, the caste is ingrained in our body and mind, and strengthened by our religious beliefs and traditions. It is not fair to expect it, to get it out of our system so easily. And also, I feel it is very hard to penetrate them, I mean the others. But what I strongly believe is that literature as an art of work of art, whatever, has not only an aesthetic creation, but also has something to do with changing our life, whatever little it could. So we have improved our status in education, employment, to an extent basic amenities in the villages, but they are not sufficient. Still, a lot more people are waiting to get the government schemes, and they are still live in poverty. And if you consider 50% cardholders in Tamil Nadu are getting free ration of 20 kg rice, then you think how poor people are. So on the periphery, it looks okay. The numbers, it looks okay. But if you go to the real living conditions of people, I couldn't see gold jewelry among the rural people, women. They are still wearing the thread. Not even 1 gram of gold they have. So the condition is pitiable. But what I try to see is, so I think of 100 years from now, where people need no longer to have their caste identities to introduce themselves. And also, there is some sort of a gap that exists. The vast gap could be bridged at least a little in the future. So our purpose is not to instill fear or guilt it's a proof that we have been struggling for a long time, and whatever we have achieved, it is because of our struggle. So if they struggle some more, probably the others will have to face the change to people and change circumstances, whether they like it or not. So the purpose of Dalit literature is not to create guilt or fear among the non-Dalits. Of course, we have now, earlier the Dravidians called themselves as non-Brahmins, but the Dalit literature has put them as non-Dalits and non-Brahmins. They are basically, come under the, quote, non. So there is a lot of impact in the writings of others also. Last session also, I heard the Teja Tungabhadra discussion. The author said somebody had said about the barber, he used a derogatory term in Kannada, but it was disputed by the own people, the very barbers themselves, so he had to change it. So now I see the well-known authors like Perumal Murugan and Charu Nivedita, Jayamogan. If you examine pre-Dalit writers prior to Dalit writings and after Dalit writings, there is a sea of change you can see, because they dare not use Harijans, they dare not use the derogatory name for caste. Earlier they used to address these people with disrespect, The police, they will use with the R, sir, word, the last word, suffix it with R. That means with respect. And the Dalits, they used to suffix it with N, which is derogatory. So now they dare not do that. And also the kind of deconstruction the Dalit literature had done earlier had a vast impact on non-Dalit writings. So they also now discuss caste issue, and we don't expect them as, to subscribe to Dalit ideology, but at least the treatment of caste in their novels and also the characters and the use of language, we see a lot of change. This is a welcome change, and I hope, and I thank the organizers and Mini for the wonderful opportunity to address all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sivakami. The presence and the widespread interest in Dalit literature is a sign that there's a profound shift in the literary landscape. And since the books are doing well and even being introduced in academic courses, I think we can hope for change, because Dalit writing is writing for change, in some sense, all writing. Vasantha, as a poet and as a translator of many Tamil Dalit writers, what is your experience, the whole kaleidoscope of instinct, of power, of experience? Please share what you and I have discussed over and over again over the years. Over to Vasantha Surya.
Okay. My thanks to all of you and for enabling us. Us means Sivakami, the Tamil poet and writer, and Mini Krishnan, who is the fairy godmother of translations in India, and myself, to voice this vital note, this sruti, this defining pitch in the celebration of Indian literature here today. Sivakami and I will be reading some extracts from Tamil and my translations. Satyameva Jayate is not a meaningless mantra to these writers. Their commitment to truth-telling is the spine and soul of this society and goes far beyond literary circles. As a translator of some of this great literature, I need to transplant it from the Tamil in which it has flowered into an English where it will continue to thrive and reach out, without pruning it, without distorting it, without gilding it, or sugar-coating it. As the poet Yaran Adi warns, "En சொற்களில் தேடாதீர்கள் போதை தரும் எதையும்." Do not search in my words for anything that would give you a high. And yet, you'll find yourself thrilled and chilled by what they write. They've been called by many names, cursed and abused, patronized and commiserated with, and the last thing they want is gobs of sympathy from those who like to feel good, dishing it out. Perhaps this explains why the label of Dalit, meaning ground down, oppressed, is rejected by so many of these writers. It's not just because it's not native to Tamil Nadu, not because it calls attention to injustice, but because to them it's an insulting assumption that they just cannot aspire to express all of life, like other writers. As Mathivanan, the poet, warns in his poem, Varudi Kodupadarkana Bhavane, Varudi Kodupadarkana Bhavane Seyyavalla, உன் வார்த்தைகளை மூலதனமாக்கி பெற்றது உனது இந்த ஸ்தானம், which means strokes of gentle sympathy. This status of yours, which you won with your words, is not for dealing out strokes of gentle sympathy. Words are capital that you expend most prudently, for it's on your word that your very status depends. That your status entitles you to wealth, plenty of food, is a string of words that you've been swinging me on, flinging me into a long, bedrugged daze. But yes, they assert their right to express, as no one has done before, what no one thought fit to write about. That four-letter word, we all know what Sukirtarani is speaking of in this next poem, and who cleans it every day, and why this translation was removed last year from Delhi University's English literature syllabus. Let's have some lines from it first, and then the punchline in Tamil. Debt. A piece of hide sewn into the base of the basket, she sets out. The blunt-edged scrap iron sheet, piled with gathered ashes, is heavy in her arms. Behind a house that's fit to split, with too many people in it, she goes, stops there, her eyes falling on a square iron sheet, swinging from a nail. Raising it with one hand, she throws a handful of ashes inside. And then, scraping her forearm on the hole's jagged edges, she sweeps and scoops from left to right, tilling it into the basket. And when it's full and heavy on her head, with the back of her hand, she wipes away yellow water streaming down her brow. And then with easy grace, she goes her way. What I can do for her is not to defecate today. Sivakami, would you now read that punchline of Sukirtarani's Tamil Kaimare?
அவளுக்காக என்னால் முடிந்தது ஒருவேளை மலம் கழிக்காமல் இருப்பது.
On Christmas Day in 1968, in the village of Kirvenmani, note the adjective low, Kirvenmani, 17 women and 6 men with their 23 children were locked into a hut which was set on fire for daring to ask for a daily wage increase of a kilo of grain. Bonded field workers. A poet wrote about this atrocity, whose perpetrators remain unpunished by the courts. Sivakami will read out a few lines from this anonymous poet's original Tamil.
அன்று அந்த அடிமை ஜனங்கள் வாடை காற்றை ஆடையாய் போற்றி மூலைகளில் முடங்கி கிடந்தனர். சீரிய தீயின் கொழுந்துகள் ஏறி தீப்பந்தங்கள் குடிசையை நாடி கொள்ளியாய் பேய்க்கூத்துகள் ஆட தீநாக்காய் அது தீண்டிய வேளை திமு திமு திமுவென எரிந்தது கூரை.
Here are some lines from my translation. Huddled in corners, clothed in fetid air, they lay. Those beings in bondage that day. Human howls rent the earth, and eyes were steeped in gushing tears, vainly trying to douse the flames on burning bodies. This is kottadime, as we say it in Tamil, bonded labor, slavery, Indian style, caste-based servitude, contempt based on perverted ideas of purity and pollution. Rising up and vaulting across these chasms, where have these people Where have we landed? India has changed in the last 50 years. It has. Certainly, there's been development. But what does it mean for all of them? What does it mean for us? We still have to ask that question of ourselves. Kuhai, the Tamil, can you please read that part? And then I'll read a little bit.
பட்டிக்காட்டில் நாங்கள் இருந்தப்போ எங்கள் கையில் மம்பட்டியும் களவெட்டியும் கோடாலியும் பன்னருவாளும் கடகாப்பெட்டியும் இருந்துச்சு. உங்கள் கையில் காடு தோட்டம் வயக்காடு அம்புட்டும் இருந்துச்சு. நாங்கள் உழைச்சி ஓடா போனது தான் மிச்சம். டவுனுக்கு போய் பிழைச்சிக்கலாம்னு ஊரை விட்டு வெளியேறி போனால் எங்கள் கையில் சாந்து சட்டியும் தார் சட்டியும் ஜல்லி உடைக்க சுத்தியலும் சம்மட்டியும் மூட தூக்குற கொக்கியும் கிடச்சிது. உங்கள் கையில் தீப்பெட்டி கம்பெனி, ஜின்னிங் ஃபேக்ட்ரி, கான்ட்ராக்டு, மெடிக்கல், ஹாஸ்பிட்டல், ஃபைனான்ஸ், கல்குவாரி, பணல் குவாரி, ஆட்டுச்சந்தை, மாட்டுச்சந்தை, பஸ் ஸ்டாண்டு எல்லாம் இருந்துச்சு. இதை எல்லாத்தையும் விட்டுட்டு சீரழிஞ்சது போதும்னு நினைச்சு நிற்கும்போது ஒவ்வொருத்தன் கிட்டையும் ஒரு கையில் கட்சி கொடியும் இன்னொரு கையில் பிராந்தி பாட்டிலையும் திணிச்சிட்டீங்க. இனிமே அதிகாரமே உங்க கையில. நாங்க கூகையை போல மறைந்து பயந்து ஒளிஞ்சு பதுங்கி, அட கடவுளே உனக்கு கண்ணு இல்லையா?
So we left that old backward place and went to the town to somehow survive. And now what we held in our hands were iron basins to fill with heavy loads to carry on our heads, hot tar to pour and make roads, hammers to break rocks into gravel, hooks to haul sacks to haul on our backs, to load on our backs. And now what you held in your hands were match companies and ginning factories, medical shops and hospitals, stone quarries and sand quarries, all the livestock bazaars, from the goat shandy to the cattle mandi, even the bus stands were in your hands. You held in your hands all the contracts and all the contacts. As we stood stupefied, what you stuck into each man's hands were a party flag and a bottle of arak.
கொஞ்சம் நவுந்து குந்து என்று வடக்கிருப்புக்காரி சொன்னாள். ஆளு வருது என்று பிரியங்கா சொன்னாள். ஆளு வர்றப்ப எந்திரிச்சுக்கிறேன், இப்ப நவுந்து குந்து. கடைக்கு போயிருக்காங்க, இப்ப வந்துடுவாங்க. பஸ் உங்க வீட்டுதா? கவர்மெண்ட் இது. அப்புறம் என்ன நவுந்து குந்து? ஆளு வருதுன்னு உனக்கு எத்தனை வாட்டி சொல்றது? வேற இடம் பார்த்து குந்து. ஆளு வர்றப்ப வரட்டும், நீ நவுந்து குந்து, இல்லைன்னா வழிய விடு என்று வடக்கிருப்புக்காரி முறைப்பது மாதிரி சொன்னாள்.
Now, Imayam, another writer.
Okay.
We don't have
It's
much
the bus
time.
to Aladi. Imayam,
The bus to Aladi.
just move up a little, said the woman from Vadakirippu. That's someone's seat. They'll come now, said Priyanka. When they come, I'll get up. Now move up. They've gone to the shop. Be back now. Is this bus your family property or what? It's the government. Then what's the problem? Move up. It's someone's seat. They'll be coming. How many times do I have to tell you, find another seat? Let them come. You move up or move out of the way. The woman spoke with some force. She tried to push. It was no use. Priyanka wasn't loosening her grip even a little. You're going to which place? Demanded the woman. Already, Priyanka was curt. All the way to Vadakirippu, I have to go. Can't keep on standing so long. Why can't you shift and sit over there? Is there no other place in the bus? If there was, why would I come and hang around you? The resulting brawl is a common experience. These writers ride in the bus with us, and they write about such things, as well, if not better than those who go about in cars. That's Imayam's message in lively, everyday Tamil, laced with idiom and metaphor, with irony and wit. Passion and dispassion are evenly balanced in his prose. The poet Tai Kanthasamy says, in a lesson in action and reaction, a stiff stance of mere bravado just will not match the sheer daring of a rod that's been bent many times. Sheer daring. Digil ahatrum tunivin ahil ulahathil yadharkum mudivu undu.
Thank you.
Pithy, poignant, and surpassingly sweet, this Tamil. I cannot match it, and yet I must try. Thrusting away fear and trembling is this sheer daring, in whose beauty everything in this world has an ending. It's it's also come to an end. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Notice
you
the
for the
rank.
privilege
Thank you.
of speaking about these songs and tales of sheer daring. Sheer daring.